Okay, welcome back to another episode of Nightcrawler Garage. And unfortunately, forgot to grab my camera. I started this project, so I've been having problems with the AC on the Jeep. And I checked the pressure with my gauge set, and it seemed to be fine. But the clutch basically is not working, or it works intermittently. It'll work for a while, and then it doesn't work. And so I tried hooking battery power right to it one day, and it was just barely moving. So anyway, I've already started the job. I've got the belt off. I went ahead and loosened this nut before I took the belt off, and I just put a screwdriver through here. Anyway, got that loose, and then so now I've got all these bolts cracked loose. There's 4. There's a couple underneath this hose here. I'm going to take all those out, and then I can tip the compressor up. I probably won't show all the steps, but I'm going to get this off. And I went ahead and I bought a brand new unit. I'm kind of excited about this. I got this off eBay, which so far I've been kind of lucky on eBay, but this one is from a company called, it's kind of hard to read, but it's Maxsam clutches, made in the USA. So that's all these guys do, I guess, according to their website. You can go to their website, just Google that, Maxsam clutches. Yeah, so that's all they do. This is not a rebuilt unit, it's brand new. So I'm pretty excited. I started to take it out of the box. It's all machine tested, brand new bearing. It's got the NSK bearing, and it also comes with a shim kit, brand new nut, 2 snap rings. Had to go buy a new pair of snap ring pliers, so I'll be trying these out. These are made in USA as well. And ATD is the brand, and the big snap ring, it's about an 1/8 inch hole. This is a little bit smaller, but it should work just fine. I just got to reverse it. Alright, so I'm going to get started, and I'll keep you up to date here. Okay, I got the nut off, and the clutch is coming out here. You can see it's almost off. And I just used 2 screwdrivers, 1 on each side. At first I was just prying it in one spot and then turning it, prying it, and then after a while I just put 1 on each side, and it came off pretty easy. I did add a little penetrating oil on the threads because they were real dry, and that helped facilitate getting that off. So the next thing is I'm going to take this clear off, and then I'll take these bolts out and flip the compressor up, because there's some snap rings I got to get at and take off. Okay, got the old clutch off, and the shim, I believe, is still down at the bottom. Looks like it just has one shim. You can see it there. Let's see if I can get a shot of this. Alright, there should be a snap ring under all that mess. Oh, I see another shim there. Looks like there must have been 2 shims. They're very small, so here's the other one. Okay, just stick that back in there. Alright, yeah, this clutch, it looks pretty rough, pretty bad looking. Okay, I'm getting ready to take the pulley snap ring off. Before I take it apart, I spun this around, and was just kind of listening to the bearing, trying to see. It's got a little bit of, I probably won't be able to tell, but it has a little bit of side to side, it's got some wobble to it. It's not gonna, you might be able to hear that on the microphone, but anyway, we're getting ready to pull that outer snap ring off, and then there's one on the inside that holds the magnet unit on. Okay, stand by. Okay, I got the snap ring off. I'm ready to go ahead and see if I can pull this pulley off. Okay, I've got an 8-inch Craftsman puller on here, 2-jaw, and you got to pull right on the pulley there. Let's see, get a shot of that. Got to pull on that part. This other part behind that is the magnet, so you don't want to pull on that because that's held on with a snap ring, and got to pull this off of the magnet. So I got to be real careful. I sprayed some lubricant in there, and I'm trying not to go too crazy because I don't want to damage this compressor shaft. I probably should have put the nut back on there. Let's be real careful. Okay, the pulley's coming off. I'm using a little 10-inch adjustable wrench, and it made a little popping sound. I'm being super careful. Like I said, I lubed up the around the shaft there with some spray lubricant, and you can see you kind of see my progress here. It's coming off the magnet. Normally this part would be inside, the pulley would be out here where it's shiny, and you can see it's coming off. So probably can't do this by hand. Now I'll have to I got to use two hands, but yeah, it's coming right off. Then we'll get that magnet off. Okay, the pulley's off. So you get a shot of that snap ring. You see it right there. I got the big snap ring, and then the magnet will come off. And I also have to pull. I gotta take a screw out over here. That's the ground connection. And I think that's it. Yeah, just take the ground connection off. I unplugged the electrical connector in it before I started. Now, of course, you're supposed to unhook the battery, but I didn't do that. I normally do, but this is a one-wire device, and we're pretty safe. So, looks to me like the coil here. I don't know. That looks kind of weird. Yeah, it's probably okay. Anyhow, let's get this magnet off. Okay, I got the snap ring off. That was pretty easy. Yeah, I like these snap ring pliers. Alright, we'll get that screw out and take the magnet off. Coil, whatever you call it. Okay, I got the old coil off. So there's an indentation there. And then the back of the magnet unit has a dowel on it, a little dowel there. So that indexes it. So you can only put it on one way. It goes on there, just like that. So I'm gonna clean this up, put the new one on. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the snap ring that retains the new magnet on there. And when you put a snap ring on, there's kind of a right way and a wrong way. I mean, it'll probably work either way, but the way I do it, it's kind of hard to see in the video, but snap rings are stamped out on a punch press, and they usually have a slight curved side, which this is kind of the curved side. So I'm going to put that on the outside, and then this is the square side. So if this was, when this was made, you know, they had this on a sheet of steel, and they punched these things out, ka-chunk. So it leaves a little radius. Same thing with washers. I always like to put the curved side up, the flat side down. So that's how I'm going to put it on. We got the inner snap ring on. See it in there, made sure it's all seated. Looks pretty good. Going all the way around. Okay, I'm using this Super Tech, I think it's from Walmart, lubricant. I'm just going to put a little bit on this shaft, or where the bearing is going to go on. Just going to lube that up and see if I can get that pulley on there. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the outer snap ring on for the pulley. I think I've got that on there all the way. So first thing I did was I just took an old 2x6, put it flat on there, and was hitting it with a big soft hammer. And then I could only go so far, and then the board hit the shaft, and then I just had to alternate very carefully. And before I started, I sprayed oil all over the I don't know if I showed that step, but I sprayed oil on the compressor shaft or whatever. It's not the shaft, but the place where the bearing slides on, and it went on there pretty easy. It looks like it's on all the way. I can see a groove, so I'm going to try to put the snap ring on. And I noticed that this snap ring on this side, it has a bevel on the inside. Hopefully that shows up. So I'm going to put that to the inside, and it's like I say, it feels kind of rounded on this side, and the flat side is going to go, it's going to go on just like that. Okay, I got the snap ring in there. So now we're ready to put the clutch in, and I think I'm going to put 2 shims in just because that's what I had before. Okay, so I've got 3 shims in there. I don't have the nut on, but it's the pulley is rubbing. I don't know if you can hear that. It's definitely rubbing, sounds like. So I got to put a 4th shim in. Okay, I just put 4 shims on there. See in there. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Huh, still sounds like it's rubbing. I don't have a lot of threads sticking out. Okay. Okay, I'm not too happy here. I've got 5 shims in there. I think the shims are about 10 thousandths a piece. The stack was about 50 thousandths. And it does rub. Maybe it'll just have to wear in, but I haven't got the nut on there yet, so that's gonna, we'll have to see what happens here. Yeah, I think I might play around with this a little bit. Okay, I'm not happy. So I was having problems putting the shims in. It was still rubbing, and I thought, well, I'll just hook up the magnet. I'll put power to the magnet, which they recommend testing this. So I did, and there's no magnet. So I got the old one hooked up here. This is the positive, and then the negative is right here. And I've just got a bolt on there. I mean, it's pretty strong. And I'll hook up the other one and show you it doesn't work. The other thing is when you hook these up, you know, you get a little bit of sparks when you hook it up, and nothing on here. So I probably should check this with an ohm meter. I think we got an open coil. Okay, looks like this coil is no good. So I remember when I was working on the old unit, I'll check it again, but this coil I believe was about 3.5 ohms resistance. And so I've got the ohm meter hooked up. It's on the 200 ohm scale, and yeah, that's going into the positive connection here. Still in there. Okay, still hooked up, and then we go to ground, which is right here, right on the wire, nothing. Completely open. So I'll show you the old coil, what it's supposed to look like. Okay, I got the old coil hooked up. Give me a second here. And it's about, I guess I was wrong, it's about 11, we'll call that 11 ohms. I thought it was 3.5, but okay, 10.8 ohms. I'll hook up the new one. Alright, yeah, it looks like it's no good. I mean, I'm right on the wire, on the ground. See that there? Nothing. So I'm gonna have to get on the phone and call these people and get a new one. So I'm not happy about the, you know, I put 5 shims in, it's still rubbing, and the thing about it is with 5 shims there's not a lot of threads sticking out. So I think they didn't this clutch disc, or whatever you call it, this plate is a lot thicker than the original one. So I don't know if they just didn't surface grind enough off, but Anyway, like I say, the coil's no good, so it's not going to work. Alright, so we're done for today. Okay, YouTube. Not happy about this situation. So I've contacted eBay, and I'm gonna, of course, be returning this. I'm not happy about a few things. Well, first of all, I wasn't gonna make this video. I mean, the original plan, of course, was, like I always do, make a repair, make a video on it. And then when I started having all these problems, I thought, well, maybe I'll just not make this video and wait till I get the parts that work and put out a video. But I've kind of changed my mind. I'm going to put this video up anyway as a failure. And one of the reasons why I'm really upset is there's no phone number for this company, Maxsam Clutches. They've got a great website, and I was able to fill out a, I don't know, they have a contact page where you can put in your phone number and all that. But I wanted to actually talk to a human being about this problem. On their website, they say that these coils are 100% QC tested. Well, they obviously did not test this one. Okay, so that's the first thing. The other thing is now I got to do this job 3 times, which I'm not happy about. Because just to drive the Jeep, now I got to put the old parts back on. And then eventually I want to, get the correct part, I want new parts on here. So I'll have to do this job 3 times. And I feel like Maxsam Clutches, they need to make this right. Not just return my money, but they need to make it right. I'm out about $140 already. And this is just not acceptable. I really wanted to support an American company. I was really excited about. That's why I wanted to make this video. I thought, wow, support an American manufacturing company, but they're going to have to do a lot better in my book. The other thing I wanted to mention is, go over here. I think this hub, I measured the hub, it's about 40 thousandths thicker than the original hub. I measured it out. This one's almost 200 thousandths, and this one, the original one, is about 160 thousandths. I don't know if you'll be able to just see the, I can't really hold them up. Can't really hold them both up and compare them, but you can see it's quite a bit thicker. But anyway, like I was saying, I had to put 5 shims in and it was still dragging, so I think they didn't surface grind enough material off of here. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I'm just gonna make a video about it. Buyer beware. Even if you're buying thing, I bought this third party through eBay, but be leery about any company where they don't have a phone number, regardless if you're going through a third-party seller. You should be able to contact the company, especially if they're going to go around and say made in USA and 100% tested. I need to be able to call somebody at this company. I went online and I know where they're at. They're down in Tennessee. They obviously have a facility. They're not doing this out of their garage or something. I mean, think about it. Imagine that you've got a semi-truck delivering bearings or something, or steel or whatever, to this company. Do they not have a contact phone number? If the truck driver breaks down, how does he get a hold of them? Email? So they need to put out a phone number. So if they want to continue business, put out a phone number where people can contact and ask questions if they have concerns, because this is not acceptable. I was willing to cut them some slack, but with no phone number where I can talk to somebody, yeah, not good. So hopefully the next video will be, them getting their act together, and hopefully I can do this job again and be done with it. Okay, folks, so it turns out that this coil does work, but the more I learn about this design, this is junk. Okay, so I've got my battery hooked up here. The yellow wire's hooked to the positive and it goes into the cable. And when I first hooked this up, you know, when it was all together, I noticed I wasn't getting any sparks. I hooked it up to the battery. Now if I take this and I hook it up here, see how I'm getting all those sparks? And I tested this. It's got a good strong magnetic field. But this is a junk design. I'll show you in a minute why. First of all, your power connection goes through, and then I have continuity here. I checked that. But notice that you just have this ground wire, which is going to go to the compressor case, and you just have this one connection wire going inside. So I'm going to show you I'm going to do a little comparison in a minute, and I'll show you how the factory did it. Let me unhook some things here. Okay, I want to show you something here. Okay, so if we come over to the compressor, we look at the front of it. Like I was saying, when I was looking at well, I will show you the factory coil here in a minute, but can't get a good light on that. Alright, so you got this little indentation here, and on your coil it's got that little nub there, and if you'll notice, I scraped the paint off. I scraped the paint off with my knife. And remember, that's where I was hooking my ground to get that spark. Okay, that had paint on it. So guess what, folks? That's the only ground connection for this coil. The way this works is you put that on, assuming there's no rust, dirt, grease, debris in that hole. Remember, this part is painted, so it's insulated. This plate is insulated. Scrape the paint off, then it's going to go into there. If you get a good electrical connection there, and then the ground wire, your factory ground wire, hooks on here to this plate right there, and that's the ground side. Alright, keep that in mind, and I'll show you the factory coil. Okay, I've got the two coils laid out, the factory Jeep coil and the Maxsam replacement coil. And I want you to notice something. I don't know if it's going to show up. I think it will. How many wires are going in here? Looks like 2 to me. 1, 2. How many wires are going in here? Looks like 1 wire. Okay? So, we got 2 wires going in to the coil. And only 1 wire going in here. So they've got this hokey setup where you have to, like I say, scrape the paint off. That's the only place. I guess you could scratch all this paint off as well to try to get a better ground connection. I mean, you could make this work, but this is just garbage. Make it just like the factory did. Have 2 wires. This is probably one of these, I'm sure, is hooked to the ground. I'd have to take, here, let me take all this stuff apart. Hold on. Okay, so hopefully you can see this wire here has the white stripe, so that's your 12 volts going in. That's coming from the connector. You plug your voltage in there. And then this black wire is connected to here. Now what I want to show you is there's no continuity between this ground and this case. Okay, so they've completely isolated the ground. This is going to hook to the compressor case like I showed you. Then power is going to come into that coil. It's completely isolated. That coil is insulated inside there, so this case doesn't need to be grounded. This stupid design, they're trying to be freaking cheap. They put 1 wire and then they're expecting the ground for the coil to go through here. Like I say, you could sand this plate, get all the paint off, but for this kind of money, you know what? Just do it the way the factory does. This is a much better design, so I don't know if I can find a factory style replacement. I think for now I'm going to slap this back together. I had 2 shims in it, and I'm just going to put 1 shim in, and I'm going to clean up this hub surface, and it should work a lot better. It was intermittent, but I think if I do that, it'll work better until I can get some I don't know, I can't find parts for this thing, but I'm definitely not going to buy the Maxsam. I'm just getting my money back, and this is a garbage design, cheap. It looked good when I bought it, and now that I see how it works, they really cheapened it up. Like I say, if you got one of these, if you're installing one of these, definitely would clean off the paint here, and I would probably take all the paint off around here where it mates up. Let's go back over here. Sorry about the camera work. You know, I would clean up all that where it mates here, but you can see my compressor's all rusty. So yeah, what a junk design. Shame on you, Maxsam. You can do better. Okay. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but this just really bugs me. So I was trying to explain in the video that the original design, you know, it had 2 wires, and then the coil, of course, is inside here, and it was insulated from the case. There's no electrical connection to the case, so you had your power would come in, go through the coil, and come out the ground wire. So I drew a little schematic, you know, power goes through the coil, comes out, and then that ground wire hooks to the compressor case. Okay, on their design, you've got 1 wire, goes in, goes through the coil, and then it's grounded at the case. Alright, so if you hook up the way on the factory setup, if you hook up your ohm meter, you hook it up to the ground, and you hook it up to your power, and you should have continuity. So when I had this on the vehicle, that's how I tested. This was hooked up to the compressor case, but remember, I had the paint on here, so this wasn't making a good connection. So it tested open on the vehicle. It wasn't until, like I said, I scratched the paint off. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is this wire doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. And if I wasn't returning this, I would actually tear the heat shrink off and show people that they just put a wire in there that doesn't go anywhere or do anything. It's just a piece of wire, just to make it look like the factory setup. I mean, if you look at the design they have, this wire doesn't do anything. It has no connection to this ground. This voltage comes in, goes through the coil, grounds at the case. Done. This wire's not even needed or used. And if a person like me doesn't know, they think it's like the factory design, you try to test it, it tests bad, plus it doesn't power up. The only way you can get continuity is to hook your meter. Let me get my lead here. Only way to get continuity with this design is scratch the paint off. See if I can get a picture of this. Scratch the insulating paint off, and then you might get some there it is. Get about 10 ohms. 15, yeah. Anyway. But see, before there was paint on there, so look, nothing. Now this here is the end of the wire. Now this here does not touch the back of the compressor. That's recessed down in there. At least I couldn't yeah, there's no connection to the compressor case. The compressor case hits here, doesn't hit out here anyway, so that doesn't do anything. Yeah, this is the only place that I could see that would actually make an electrical connection. So this is just some kind of, yeah, this is just hokey. Anyway, I don't know. So hopefully that explains things a little better. If you're going to buy one of these, first of all, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would, like I say, I would definitely grind all this paint off around here. But here in the Northwest, we get a lot of rain and moisture. It's raining right now, and it's August. And this would just rust, and the compressor case will rust. And then you're going to have an intermittent problem. It'll work once in a while. And yeah, I don't want that. So, okay. Okay, I got the old coil on and the pulleys on. I cleaned this up, the surface, with brake clean, wire brush, and I think it's like 600 grit sandpaper. It's not the perfect surface, but it's probably a lot better than it was. So this should help a lot. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the hub on, and like I said, it had 2 shims in. I'm gonna try it with 1, and maybe that's what it's gonna take. I think between cleaning it and taking a shim out, it should work a lot better. It was intermittent before. Okay, I got the factory hub back on, so I just got 1 shim in there, and that's the way it's supposed to fit. You'll notice there's quite a bit of thread sticking out. When I had the Maxsam on there, of course I had 5 shims, and being that hub was 40 thousandths thicker, it was way out. There was only a few threads, and I didn't like that because that self-locking nut, you know, this has to stick through the nut, and there wasn't enough threads there to do that, so that was junk. So I've got 1 shim in, I got it pushed in, and no drag, so I think this is going to work pretty good. I'm going to put the nut on, and then I'm going to power test this thing with no belt, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're all back together. I've got 12 volts on there. Turning the compressor. Like I say, I just have 1 shim in there. Hold on. Yeah, I think 1 shim is going to really work well. I think this is going to work out fine. And then I'll eventually get some new parts and just... I mean, it's always nice to have new stuff, you know, new bearing and brand new surfaces, but I'm not going to buy another Maxsam. I'll have to find something better. Okay, so far the air conditioner is working really well. I think cleaning up those surfaces and taking a shim out, I think that was the trick. So we took it out for a drive and it worked flawlessly. So yeah, I think it just needed some maintenance. Okay, thanks for watching.